We'll probably just do a little bit of a shake up to the normal game plan, but in reality, the goal, as per usual, is to help you by the end of today, by the end of this Zoom, uh, to be a little bit more fruitful, to have a little bit of a mind bend on how to be more successful. As you all know, and it might be overused. But Afortus is simply a self-improvement company with a great compensation plan. The more that we improve, and the more that we use grit, and especially in this business, in this world, we got to have more grit than less grit. But the more grit we have in our actions and our activities, the more fruitful this opportunity becomes for you. And I'll have you know that even the best, even the very best of the best, you might say to yourself, "Gosh, how does so and so write business every single week?" When you look at the Ricks and the Chantervies and at the Ruths, et cetera, et cetera, how do they constantly, week in, week out, come in with production? Well, it's because they got grit, right? And they have a little bit of some focus, even just for a small window of time. You don't have to be focused 24/7, but you probably should be focused for a few special moments every single day, or at least take a day or two with some serious steel and determination to make sure that you're doing your follow-ups, that you're doing all that you can to get in front of people. And if you'll do that, then you'll see chained together week by week by week production. And then you'll see some fun things coming out the other end. But it doesn't happen just because. It doesn't happen by
Oh,
habits. It
uh,
happens because of a focused effort to have that happen. And it doesn't have to be something that's a consistent thing. Heavens knows, even I, every single day, go out and water for about an hour the plants in my yard. So that gives me a chance to get out of, the normal rigmarole. I'm not 24/7 focused in on always having my mind towards production. Does my mind dwell on it a lot during the day? Sure, it does. But do I also have time for myself and for my family and for R&R and fun? Absolutely. One of my favorite things to do, I left and went about 45 minutes early to catch my son's last 45 minutes of his basketball practice and sat in there and talked to other dads and talked to the coaches and watched my boy play. Um, I mean, I wasn't focused in on the business for that time or for the half hour it took me to drive there and back. Right? I mean, it's dumb to even bring this up, but listen, you can't be consistently 24/7 focused in on it, but you do need to have some focus in those areas. And it's not easy. And no one said it would be easy, but what did they say? They said it wouldn't be easy, but what did they say? They said it would
it
be.
would be worth it.
That's right. Absolutely. It'll be worth it. So keep that in mind as you fight the battle, that it is absolutely is worth it. And it's only with those that continue to surge forward and continue to try and continue to stumble and fail, where you figure out a few things to help you be more fruitful. And in the failing and in those clients that go cold and that don't follow back up with you and they don't send you that item that they're supposed to send you, or they don't look into their 401k to find out how much they got in there, and they don't see if there's money's not being matched and that we can redirect somewhere else. It's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen. Just expect it. But know that there will be, for every four or five that do that to you, there's going to be two or three that will follow up. The problem is too many of us don't have 10 to work with, right? We have one or two that we're working with on a weekly basis, and we think that we're going to get something out of it. And you just can't. You can't get something out of one or two. You got to have 10 so you can get four or five that say, and you'll have three or four that will say, woo, right? And move forward with you. Rick, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, just talking about what you're just saying, I had a lady that I ran a first presentation with back in February. And the first went to a second, and we did take an application, and she was declined. And the reason she was declined is because the underwriter said that she had a history of epilepsy. and he wanted to see there was nothing there in the medical records since all the way back to 2023. So I went back to her. She was declined at that point. I said, "Listen, you've got to see if maybe you can go to the doctor again and talk a little bit about that epilepsy situation because she said it was all taken care of since then." But I my assistant scheduled her again as a B lead. As a B lead, I'd kind of forgotten about her, but I remembered her name and so I talked with her this morning, and lo and behold, she had a follow up the year after, and she's going to send me those records today, and we've got an appointment on Friday to resubmit an application, and fingers crossed, breath held that it'll go through again. It'll go through this time. So to your point, you know, things like this can happen, and I'm a walking, living testament of that. So appreciate those comments that you made.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. Isn't that so exciting? I know, right? Sometimes you wonder, is it worthwhile for me to be paying for this assistant or for me to be digging into these B leads from years past? And absolutely is. You never know what can come from it. So that's a great story, Rick. Thank you. And good luck with that for sure. Um, Now, as per usual, I do want to open up for Q&A, but I want to kind of extend this general theme here for the beginning. So I'm going to share a quick little video that I found that kind of goes along the point that we've been talking about so far about having grit and keeping going and staying focused. But I want you to be thinking about if you've got any questions about anything related with the business, growth, product, salesmanship, whatever comes to mind. Let's do it. And then I've got a question for you. And so I want to see if somebody can help me answer a question that I have. But without any further ado, I do want to share this quick little spot and a special bonus for anyone that can put into the chat box who it is that's saying this. Okay, you'll hear a voice, you'll see a little video, and you'll hear a voice. And I want you to just kind of see if you can tell me who it is that's saying this.
Everything worthwhile is uphill. Period. End of story. If you want to succeed in life, it's difficult. It's not easy. It's not fast. It's not simple. It's uphill. Everything worthwhile.
Okay, I know you watched it once. Let's watch it one more time and then really listen to the words.
Is uphill. Period. End of story. If you want to succeed in life, it's difficult. It's not easy. It's not fast. It's not simple. It's uphill. Everything.
Isn't that great? And I can remember I've actually watched the podcast where he made that comment. He's probably made it many times, but just love that. But can anybody think who it is? Maybe you've already put in the chat and I wasn't paying attention. But so good, right? You thought that was Dolly Parton saying that, Jason? Or maybe he's commenting about something that was.
I actually just threw that out there because I was remembering Dolly because we've been bombarded with Dolly this morning after her passing.
Yeah.
Um, and but I thought it was a little bit of levity because Dolly would have laughed at it. So but then I listened to it and I was like, that sounds like James Earl Jones, Luke, I am your father. But so what was the answer on that?
The answer is John Maxwell. That's John Maxwell, one of the great. I don't want to say theologian, more of a kind of a Christian church builder, great leader. But Maxwell's written many books on leadership and entrepreneurship. But he kind of cut his teeth building churches and helping pastors and others to feed their flock. And I think you'll find a lot of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership is what just came to my mind from Maxwell. And oh my heavens, what a book that was. What a book. And anyways, good stuff. Hopefully you caught the vision of that. Dadgummit. It ain't easy, right? It ain't easy. Michael, Mike Trussell, you're sitting there with it looks like your boy there. Did he just finish basic training or something like that, I think? And listen, the things that he learned, you could probably just sitting there talking to him that now that he's kind of finished up that training of that camp. I don't know if you can hear me, Michael, or not, but he's probably come out of that a different person because it wasn't easy, but he fought through. You know what I'm saying? And you're probably in a meeting right now, Mike, and listening in. And if you can see Michael Trussell, you can see him sitting there with his son, who I think he's there for his graduation from basic training or one of his MOS training. But listen, I've been through basic training. It ain't easy. But when you get done with that, the person you become, woo wee. We could probably have next week Trussell share with our group what he noticed from his boy and the things that he's done and the man that he's become because of fighting through it, right? Fighting through
Hey,
it
what's up?
and staying with it. So exciting times. And hey, there's no reason why we can't think of Afortus as a little bit of a boot camp experience because it ain't easy. It is not easy, and yet that we've got the ability. We've got the drill sergeants, right? That will teach you how to march in formation. That will teach you how to understand this and understand that. And now it's just kind of up to us to rally around and surge forward and take that information and put it to work. So, anyways, good stuff. Fun to have Mike listening in here, even though he's hanging out with his son at his boys' uh, basic training graduation. That's so cool. Okay. Anybody have any questions in general that they would like to ask here at the beginning? And then I've got a question for you too, but let's open it up to you guys. Anything? Anyone? Okay, let me go ahead then and give you my question to you. So I have a client who, 3 months ago, started up a very nice sized IUL, about $1,600 a month that he's putting in. He's with the ICE, with the federal government. He's, kind of a police officer, but he gets a bonus and he's taking that whole bonus that he gets every month and he's putting it into an IUL. And it will last for about 2.5, 3 years. And then he'll still be able to contribute monies to it, but just not as much. So we kind of are front loading this puppy with 1,600 a month. He's also putting money into a TSP. Now the TSP is not being fully matched. He's overfunding the TSP too. Anyways, he hit me with a text and said basically, hey, listen, let me just read it to you. Good morning. We have had some unexpected expenses and I need to make a small adjustment to free up some cash. I'd like to lower my premium from the 1,600 a month to 1,000 a month. This will still give me over 15,000 by the time the bonus money runs out and I need to go to a more sustainable premium amount. I know it best to fund as much as possible, but I need to free up some cash and I don't want to mess with the TSP at this point. So on the one hand, yeah, sure, he can put in less. We can make the adjustment to his monthly contribution. But what would you say? How would you give guidance to him on this? Anybody have any particular, just a quick thought on what you might respond to that? And then I'll share with you what I responded, but go ahead. Anu, do you have a thought on that?
Um, I would I would talk to him about the portion that he's overmatching on the TSP and maybe yeah put uh, maybe not take away from the IUL but take some of that money to help with his cash issues.
For sure. What about his comment, though, that he doesn't want to mess with the TSP at this point?
Yeah, no, I mean that's right, but yeah, that's the thing I would just suggest to him is that you're adding to your taxable income in the future right now. You're not getting a match on this. Why not? Uh, eh, Definitely, yeah, he doesn't. He's not inclined to do that, but that's the first thought that I would have is let's not increase our taxable income in the future.
I absolutely love that. I'm adding that to my text right now. I haven't sent the text to him, but I think that's such a perfect point. You're adding to your taxable income in the future by contributing to the TSA. Man, that's so good. Or TSP, excuse me, the TSP. Love that. Thank you, Anu.
Sure.
Anybody else have any different thoughts or a different suggestion?
How long has the policy been in place?
About 3 months now.
Oh, 3 months.
Was there a concern if it had been in there lesser or longer?
I thought maybe you said 3 years or something. Then you could maybe look into taking a
Oh,
loan out or something. But 3 months, no.
yep, yep. Okay, good.
Now,
Well,
Heath, I have a question for you regarding this. Will this
yeah,
affect your commission? Like your, would it cause a charge back? I guess I want to say.
it could.
Understand? Yeah,
It
okay.
could. Now I have extremely overfunded the IUL, so I've really maxed the policy out. I have him at increasing face. So a very, very low face amount. I think the target on the case is much higher than if I had done it at level. So if he lowers it down to 12,000, I think we're still within the target on the policy itself. And so there probably wouldn't be a chargeback. Now, if I had max funded and had the target be at the 1600, which is what? That's gosh, almost 20,000 points, and he lowers it to 1,000, which is only going to be 12,000 a year, then yeah, there will be a charge back there. But I think lowering it down, reducing it that $600, it probably won't cause a chargeback because I think it's still within the target parameters. So that's nice.
Now, how
Uh,
about mentioning by lowering his contribution, how it can affect the growth, the performance?
well,
Like
yeah,
our BP?
that's a good. So you're saying make that comment to him that you just recognize that if you do lower it, that it will reduce the ultimate effect that we had, involved with this. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
like as his retirement strategist, as your obligation to just remind him of how that can affect his growth and everything that was built into his retirement portfolio. So it may mean having to revisit what the numbers would look like, and understanding that it is reliant on performance in the long run. So yeah.
Perfect. I love that. Okay, let me
Heath,
share.
I would want, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
This
please
is
go ahead.
Cameron. My apologies. I would just be curious as to if he's getting some advice from somewhere, like why is he adamant that he doesn't want to touch the TSP? Like, who has he spoken to? And like, has he spoken to an accountant, for example? I mean, is there somebody giving him alternative advice just to understand what's his concern on that? Because it does make sense to touch that versus, the IUL, but just to understand, what his reasoning is behind why he doesn't want to touch that.
I love that, Cameron. I love that. Yeah, I could start my text response to him with, "Who in the world is giving you this advice?" Uh,
I love it.
without really even just saying, you're getting bad advice, I could just have fun with it and say, who in the world is giving you that kind of advice? And really, my first initial thoughts were, it's a lot easier just to simply text me because we're kind of friends, and he's got me on speed dial kind of thing. And so it's a lot easier just to text, his old buddy Heath and just say, hey, I'm going to start putting a little bit less because I need to put money somewhere else. But that's where it comes into, hey, a real friend, a true friend is going to tell him, essentially where the bear goes poo poo in the forest. I'm not going to let him get away with it that easy. And I'm going to point those things out like Anu has brought up and Cameron's brought up and, you've brought, Clarissa's brought up. All of that is important stuff to help him understand. I think he just doesn't want to have to get on the phone with TSA and go through the rigmarole of reducing his contributions into the TSA because it's probably a little bit more long-winded than just giving me a text, right? And saying, hey, can you make this adjustment? He doesn't want to have to go through the hold and all the weights and human resources to adjust his TSP. So I probably need to make the points of that. I understand it could be mind-numbingly frustrating going through government channels to make the adjustment to his TSP. But I'll make the point that it's probably much more worthwhile for you to do as I suggest and adjust that TSP, especially as Anu mentioned, to the portion that's not being matched because he is overfunding the TSP. Those are great points. Let me just share with you what I kind of put together just right off the top. when I first got the text come in. I just simply said back to him, understood. I get it. Understood his request. Can we make the adjustment? We can make the adjustment for sure. So I'm agreeing with him. Yeah, no problem. We can do this. But keep in mind, the TSP doesn't have an insurance umbrella and it doesn't have an amount that really needs to be contributed to maximize the plan like this IUL does. Anything over a match that you're contributing to the TSP is what I'd adjust if possible, just so we can get as much as we possibly can into the IUL, as we only have a limited time to contribute and build. Remember, you're adding to your taxable income also in the future by contributing to the TSP. So we want to reduce that. And that was to a news point, which I just added at the end of that. Now, I will probably make just a couple more adjustments to it and send it off, but I thought this was a good little discussion to have. And Ruth, please go ahead with any thoughts you have on it.
Sorry about the camera. I'm getting my hair done right now, so I'm in the foil. But realistically, to go on the TSP and change and reduce his contribution is not difficult. He can do it right online. And if he's doing the traditional, I missed the beginning of this, so I don't know if he's doing any of the Roth thrift or only the traditional. But yes, it's very simple to go and adjust your contributions right on your thrift savings plan website, tsp.gov, I believe it is. And it's a very simple fix to reduce his contributions. But remember, if people are wanting to reduce by 1,000 and it's going traditional, you have to make the contribution more like 700 if they're in the 30% tax bracket, or depends on their income. That realistically is going to turn into cash money as liquid to put into their IUL or a tax advantage product. But that's how I handle it.
Oh, I love that. Very good, Ruth. Thank you so much for sharing and contributing. Appreciate that. Oh, sage advice. Okay. Thanks again, everybody. Good stuff. Let me go ahead now just for a quick moment and jump ship just a quick moment and kind of discuss some of the things that have come up this week that I think will be important to share. So in an effort to accomplish a training sale, Jason McMillan, one of our great up-and-coming superstars with Afortus, Jason McMillan set up a warm market appointment. And ultimately, after a first and then a second, the client does want to do a rollover from an old IRA into the fixed indexed annuity, the fixed indexed IRA. Again, I call it an IRA to begin with because I don't want people to get confused or have any bad concepts or considerations by using the annuity word. So until we kind of get to the end of a second is really the first time that I'll point out, hey, at some point, if you'd like to, you could annuitize this, and here's the reason why you would want to do it. And these are the benefits and the bonuses for doing so. But I usually don't bring up annuity until at that point. But anyways, in the course of the second presentation where we were picking up the application, Jason being new with us, and I just wanted to bring this up because I think probably either some of us are afraid to do annuity business because of all the little rigmaroles you might have to go through to get approved to do it. But listen, it's so worth it. So just understand it's simple to get these things fixed. There were three things that Jason, even though he's appointed with F&G and he understands the product, and he has an annuity license, annuity code and all this kind of, but three things came up when we're doing the application. And these three things will probably come up with everybody, especially if you're new to Afortus and haven't written an annuity business just yet. Number one thing that popped up when we were putting in his code was that he's got to get his AML, the anti-money laundering, done. So just keep that in mind. Before you can write annuity business, you've got to have your AML up to date. Anti-money laundering, that can be done either directly through the LIMRA website, which will then link to F&G, and F&G will be able to access that to show that he has done the anti-money laundering. And it's just a quick little quiz and I don't know what you call it, just a training session that you've got to do to get the certificate. But if you don't want to wait for F&G to reach out to LIMRA to verify that it's been done, which they'll do periodically, they don't do it probably every day, you could just call into F&G and say, hey, listen, I got my anti-money laundering done. You can go ahead and check it and verify that. And then he'll be okay to do it. That's number one. And it can also be done through the F&G website and through Afortus's portal. On the left-hand side, it will list AML training. Number two thing was that he needed to do the best interest training for the state that he's licensed in. And so I just wanted to show you real quick so everybody has to do best interest in the state if they're going to write the annuity business. So I'm going real quick to the F&G website. Here I am logged in. You just come over to training and you come over to annuity product, annuity suitability, these kind of things. But there's your AML if you want to get your AML done. But here, go to annuity product, and you can see in here it will list for. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Come over here to the second box. You're going to have to do this first one here, but I want to come up because I was talking about best. Come to general and annuity suitability training. Click on that middle box there. And then down here, it will show you best interest course. You got to do the best interest course. And you can see I've got them completed in a lot. And usually if you just do it in one state, it will count for all the states. He's in Georgia, the client's in Georgia, so he's just got to come over here and where it says status, it'll probably say for him, not done or whatever. Just click on it so you can take the best interest training, okay? So you got to do best interest, probably in your primary license state. What do you call that? It's not primary license, it's your resident license, I guess. And then it should count on all the non-resident licenses states that you're in also. So that's number one. Well, number two, AML number one, number two, best interest, and number three is you got to do the actual particular annuity training that we're writing. So if we're writing, for example, the Accelerator Plus product, there it is, Accelerator Plus 10 and 14. And you can see I've done that back in 2019. I had that accomplished. You'll want to make sure you just click on the PDF here and knock that training out. It's really just a matter of clicking through 30, 40 pages of just explanations. You don't have to read word for word. There's no quiz at the end of it. There's no test at the end of it, but they just want you to click the pages. So maybe there's some interesting material there. And hey, it would be worthwhile to read it for sure, but you don't have to memorize it. There's no quiz. Just go through each page and understand the product. I think that's a powerful thing. They just want you to make sure that you're understanding the product that you're selling. Okay. Anyways, those are the three things that Jason kind of ran up against. And of course, he's knocking those things out, and then we can submit the application. But anybody have any thoughts or questions on that? Or Jason, do you have any thoughts or questions
Well,
from that experience?
thank you, Heath. So I did the LIMRA. That was real easy. The anti-money laundering. That was simple. The thing with that is that you have to click on every single little tab and every highlighted little thing in there and make it all pop up as you go through the process, or it won't let you complete it. So that's easy. And then the 44 pages of the training, the first 15, 20 were all interesting. And it was kind of like, it got to the point where it was Charlie Brown's teacher, womp 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 womp. So, but I got through that. But it was interesting. I don't recall most of it, but at least I read most of it. Then I got to the best practice, and I'm right there on that page. And it will not let me select. I've got state license Georgia, product type annuity, course name, best interest, status not completed. It says completion date, renewal date, but it will not let me click on any of that. So I'm not sure what I need to do next.
Well, it sounds to me, Jason, and I appreciate you bringing that up. If all else fails, just call direct to F&G and say, this is what I'm running into. Can you help me make sure? And you might be done. There might not be anything it needs to do, but you would think that, where's the button for me to click that I'm finished? And you're not finding that. And so I would just go ahead and call them directly and say, listen, this is where I'm at. This is what it's telling me. Am I done with this? How do I make sure that it's getting checked off on your end? And just call them, ask them.
Yep.
And
I
in the morning,
talked to them yesterday. They're really nice. They're easy to talk to.
did they give you a little bit of some clarity on that?
They did yesterday. Yeah, they sent me another activation pin that worked because I had tried the first three and it locked myself out.
Right.
Inadvertently locked myself out. So they sent me a new one and it worked like a charm and I was in a second as soon as I had the right pin. So no big deal. But yeah, they give you a phone number during that first initial presentation. It's the sales desk. I took that down, and that's like direct right into them.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, in specifically though, I would probably just reach out to them about how to make sure that that best interest certificate is accomplished and done. Whereas it seems as though it's leaving you at a quandary as to how to move forward with that one. I would just ask them directly
No,
about
that's
that.
easy. I'll have it done this as soon as possible,
I love it.
if
Thank you,
not sooner.
Jason. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
letting me use you as a guinea pig
Oh,
and
yeah.
share that story. I think it's probably a good one for everybody to hear about just as they're in preparation to write more business. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I think that everybody probably has people in their circle of influence, and if not in their immediate circle of influence, their circle of influence's circle of influence. Because if everybody doesn't know, you probably do. My favorite thing to have is a referral from a referral. But once you have the referral, making the referral from the referral is so much easier.
Yeah.
And continuing on with that thread.
I love it. I love it. Great point, Jason. Okay, I wanted to show you one other thing, and that's in regards to the actual application, being cognizant of suitability. So suitability, just a long story short on suitability, Fidelity just wants to make sure, and this is how I explain it to a client. In one of the gotchas with the FIAs, right? One of the biggest gotchas is suitability. And people will say, well, why won't they just take all my money? Why are they worried? I mean, I get to use that as saying, listen, F&G has your best interests in mind. They're not like you think that any and all companies are just greedy. They'll take all your money. But in reality, I've had plenty of business get declined for it not being suitable. And the main issue is they just want to make sure, Fidelity does, F&G does, they just want to make sure that there's other assets a client has about in equal proportion to what they're putting into the annuity that they have in a more liquid position so that they're not having all the clients not putting all of their assets inside of the FIA, even though if it were up to me, I would do it because all the benefits that are there. But they don't want to do that because there is, that 10-year surrender in essence, where really the client should only be accessing 10% a year from it. If they needed 50%, that's going to cause a hardship because of the surrender charges. So make sure that what we're putting into that is money that they're fine using just 10% of a year for the first 10 years. And of course, we're positioning it as if it were just simply the income that they need during retirement. They're not going to use this money to buy a new cabin up at the lake. They're not going to use it to pay off their children's school loans. They're not going to use it for anything other than just income for whatever they want, but basically income during retirement, and 10% is going to be plenty for them to use. So the main question that they're going to have for suitability, and I'm going through the application real quick so you can kind of see where that comes up, is just in their kind of assets they currently have and what they have to work with. So this client here has money that is rolling over from both a 457 and a 403b, two different resources that the money's coming from, a total of the 295. So what we have to do then is show on the application that there's something close to 295 in other assets outside of what we're putting into this program. And so as you kind of go through the application, you're checking boxes. I'm just going to show you here the important spot. So household income, 17,000, household expenses, 6,000. Here's where we get to the gist of it. Liquid assets and non-liquid assets. We got to show here that they've got other assets besides just the money that we're rolling over. Now the client is under 59 and a half. So that money is considered non-liquid. And we remember what the total amount was, about 296 that we're rolling over. But he's got a total of 360. So we're not taking all of that client's 401k money. He obviously, this is coming from an old plan, two old plans, and he still has his current 401k that we're not rolling over, which is the difference between the 295 and the 360. But he has a total of 360. He also has quite a bit in real estate, the value of his home. And he's got money in checking, cash savings, just money in the bank. Now, anybody know a simple little trick here to help? Also, if you're trying to find money to equate what we're rolling over, one simple rule of thumb is you can also use 1 year's annual income. So for instance, this client makes about 100,000. He's got 125,000 more or less in several, between he and his wife, several bank accounts. But we can also add to this 1 year's annual income. And that bumps the cash checking savings to 225, which just gives a little bit more suitability, right? A little more clarity to how this can be suitable for the client. Now, does anybody have any questions on how this is where it happens? This is where you're really going to show suitability. Go ahead, Anu.
No, one question I had was if so, monies are coming from two different accounts, right? Are they at two different places?
Yes.
So sometimes that can delay things, getting money from two different places. Would it be possible to initially do this where you're just taking money from one place, you open up the account, and then you roll the money from the other place into it? That way you're more likely to pass through suitability. And then usually I think you have with F&G 12 months to roll more money in.
Wow, Anu. I mean, ding, 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 ding. What a great point to make. And yeah, I think in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, shoot, I got to get money from here and money from here. And you make the perfect point that yes, there's moving parts and it is difficult. I guess I'm lazy, but your way of bringing it up is so much easier. And so if I'm really lazy, I should go your route, which means let's get the easy money put in, get it paid, and then you're absolutely correct. You've got 12 months to add the other money into it. So, man, perfect point. Now, if they were different types of money, qualified versus non-qualified, I would have to set up a separate account, right? I can't put them together. But you bring up a wonderful point. And I've had to do this from time to time. I'll get the one money rolled over, and we're sitting there for weeks, right, waiting for the other money to come. Sometimes I will just say, bag it. We're having a hard time getting it. I'll communicate with F&G and say, hey, go ahead and issue this policy. We'll add the other money in later. And sometimes there's a signature that I have to get from the client to say that's okay. But that's an easy approach. But that's a great point you bring up, Anu. Thank you. Ruth, do you have a thought on that?
I do. The challenge with that is if you have a bonus product, you will not get the bonus on the follow-up money. Also, the money is going to sit in escrow. The second deposit is going to sit in escrow until the other bucket comes back around during its cycle. So they can only get much less percentage based on that second deposit until the full cycle of the 12 months has passed. That's the downside to doing it that way. I call it having a wedding. I marry funds regularly. And does it take longer? Sometimes yes, but are you doing it for the client's best interest? Yes. So, sometimes we have to look at all factors and realize when you send in a second deposit, it doesn't get put into the main allocations immediately. It's going to sit until the allocation cycle comes through and will not necessarily be in your client's best interest.
Well, that's interesting, Ruth. I do recall that having happened to a client that I did that with. He put like 1.2 million, and then he had another 100,000 that he wanted to put in a little bit later. And when we did the annual review, come to find out that 100,000 did not go into the full lump sum that was sitting there, didn't get the bonus, wasn't earning what the other monies did, the first monies did. And I wondered what that was all about. I kind of overlooked it, didn't think about it, but that's a great point. So I would just, if to a news point, I would just call F&G when you're thinking about doing what Anu has suggested and say, hey, what can we do to make sure that this money gets added to the full amount and also gets the bonus? There might be a trick there that F&G can help us with, but that's a wonderful point to bring up. Thank you.
that there isn't, and that's
Okay.
just what happens with it.
Okay.
So, so the reality is it inconvenient for us? Yes, but eventually you got to take yourself out of the equation. It's not about us. So we have to remember, is it a pain? Can you wait 12 weeks, which we're dealing with that right now? We have a ton of annuities in our pipeline for my region. And is it a pain in the butt? It is, but it's not about us. So we have to do what's best for the client. That's just the bottom line. So
I love
that's
that.
my opinion.
Thank you, Ruth. I really appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. Hadn't thought about that. It's a great point.
Is that with all the annuities or just the one with the bonus, Ruth? Is that with all across?
All annuities, when they go to waiting for buy date, they're going into the allocation options that were chosen when the application was created. Remember, those allocations are working for a 12-month period or 24-month period. If the funds come in, the additional funds come in on the third month, they're going to sit in escrow, make a minimal amount of income while they're waiting for the cycle to come back around and to join the original amount. And so that's where you're doing the client a disservice. It may happen sometimes because they're like, oh, wait, I found some money. Well, that wasn't an intentional something you did. That was a client says, oh, I have extra money. I want to throw it in there. Because it's happened to me with my husband. Because my husband, whenever his 401k produces an extra 5,000, we pull it out and drop it into his annuity. However, it will sit in escrow if it's in the middle of the cycle, which for me, I don't care because it just gets it out of losing it in the market. But they just have to be aware that it's not going to get put. If you have an aggressive allocation, like a 2-year Morgan Stanley, it's going to sit there for 2 years until it gets dropped into the account. So you just have to keep that in mind. To do it intentionally, I don't think it's ethical. But when you discuss with the client and let them make the decision, then it's their choice.
Great training. Really needed to hear that from you today, Ruth. Appreciate you with your ears on, even at the hairdresser. Thank you for sharing. Let's go, Sue, and then we'll go back to Anu. Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, when you're listing for suitability and you're listing all of their assets and things, think of it as kind of a snapshot of where they're at currently. I thought I heard you say something about adding in a whole year's worth of salary. I don't understand that because it's supposed to be a snapshot of where they're at today. So please further clarify that thought.
Well, a few years back, I just simply asked the folks at F&G, how can we help this become more suitable? He didn't have a whole lot of other assets outside of a little bit of some money in the bank. And at that point, I was told, well, you can count 1 year's annual income as money sitting in the bank, in cash equivalent. So it's just a cash equivalency. So keep that in mind. That might help grease the wheels through getting stuff through suitability.
Okay, never heard of that before, so thanks.
You bet. Anu, please go ahead.
The other thought would be to do two annuities, and then you're laddering.
There you go.
You turn on one when you need the income, and then wait on the other one.
So perfect. And you know, a lot of times we forget the power of laddering. That's such a good idea. If you remember, you know, a number of years ago, we had the documentary that we share, and it talks about the one fella economist who had 14 annuities, right? He could have it all in one, but instead he had 14 of them. And when he needed more money, he just he just annuitized and started taking income from another. And that's a powerful way to do it instead of having to take all the money all at once from one of them. Good idea, Anu. Thank you. And that's smart because then you can get the bonus, right? With the other monies coming in if you're doing an annuity a bonus product. And you're also helping the client by having a laddered approach. Love it. Ruth, any more?
Yeah. So when say you have a large sum, it's good to divide it because you could put, say, 600 in the accumulator where it gets the bonus and do the other 400 in the accelerator and it will grow like wildfire. That's another advantage to clients when you separate their money. But when it's super small money, when you're marrying a bunch of little accounts, you just want to give them as much impact as possible. So it's just literally case by case basis. Look at it, be honest with yourself, look at all options, present more than one choice because legally you're supposed to. And with that, then as long as you're all about the client, you'll be fine.
Okay, I love it. Yep. Great discussion, everybody. Thank you. Hopefully, this has been helpful for you. If it's gone over your head in even the least little bit, that's just because you're not dealing with these products yet. Get familiar, get some annuity business, right? So that you have a little bit of more understanding of what this conversation is. And if you're not well versed in this world, that's okay. What goes through you sticks to you, and some of this stuff will come back to you. But do not worry that you have to understand all of this. That's why we have the great leaders with the experience that have done, 5, 10, 100 annuities and kind of understand how to grease the wheels. And so if you're relatively new to this kind of world, this kind of opportunity, understand that your regional manager, district coordinator can help you understand all the little pitfalls that come along the way and make sure you don't fall into those pitfalls. Good stuff. Thanks, everybody. Okay, shifting gears. Last week, we talked a little bit about an approach for getting referrals. Let me share my screen with you. I don't know how many of you were able to save the information that I put into the chat box, the PDFs that were in there, or even start to implement this a little bit. But I wanted to do a little addendum to that, not an addendum, but an extension to it. We talked about the fact that you can have some incentive ideas. And by the way, in regards to how to approach it, you can pick some topics when you're sending the text out to your people. The year-end planning hook, I think, is a good one. Or the new year, new plan hook, which you can be sending out to all your clients with a simple text. Hey, Johnny, the year-end financial checkup challenge is underway. Do you know one family who could use a stronger plan before the year closes out? Taxes, savings, or just peace of mind? Start a group text with them and me and put in your phone number right here, your own personal phone number. Quick intros, and I'll take it from there. Your first successful referral earns you, and then you can put an incentive in there. Now, I would just also give them some clarity on the quick intro. Hey, I've been working with Heath over the last number of years. We put together a pretty cool plan that allows for my money to grow without loss and in a tax advantaged way. You really ought to take a look at this, just something quick. And then send that out, right? And then anybody that refers back to you, because you've got your client's phone number in the text and your number there and the client. So all three of you. And so if that client responds back to that group text, you know who it's coming from, right? And then you can properly say thank you to that client for the referral because that actual referral has responded back and says, yeah, I'd be interested in having a little sit down, a little conversation, a little phone call, whatever. And there's, of course, other hooks there, life transition hooks, the simple evergreen version, no seasonal hook. It works year round. But I was thinking about this and I wanted to trying to come up with maybe some better incentives instead of just a $25 gift card, right? Or a dinner card to somewhere. And so in that, and there was some different things that they had mentioned, incentive ideas, a gift card, a donation to a charity, a handwritten thank you note, and a small local business gift card, movie tickets or a family activity pass to the zoo or whatever, relationship building incentives, a free portfolio review or financial checkup, priority scheduling, first access to your calendar for their own planning needs. In other words, there's quite a bit here that you could be doing. So I had just mentioned as I was thinking about this, I said to the AI, I need some better incentives outside the box and fun, and will drive clients to actually want to send out the referral text. And so this was the response. Love the energy. Let's make it feel like a game, not a transaction. Here's a batch of ideas that lean into fun, competition, and experience rather than here's a $25 thing. So a spin the wheel or a mystery reward. Every successful referral gets a spin on a prize wheel. Prizes range from $10 coffee card to a $200 dinner, a plant, a bottle of wine, or a grand prize like a weekend getaway gift card. The unpredictability is what makes people actually want to participate. So, hey, it gets the juices flowing, right? How about a referral bracket or leaderboard? We've got fantasy football coming with the football season starting up in this coming week, or pick'em leagues where you and your family are picking who wins the games. That's really popular. And you could turn it into a March Madness style bracket or a live leaderboard, showing who's referred the most. Top refer at the end of the quarter gets a bigger prize, a nice dinner, tickets to a game, whatever your clientele would love. Now, obviously, we got to think that we're doing this digitally, and so it'll be difficult for them to kind of see some of these things, but maybe a golden ticket surprise. Randomly hide 1 or 2 golden ticket referrals in the mix. If your referral happens to be the secret golden one, you win something bigger, a trip, a big gift card, a fully paid dinner for 2. Everyone still gets the base incentive, but the mystery keeps people talking. A charity match with a twist. Experience-based grand prize. Skip small gift cards entirely and stack up to 1 great experience per quarter, like a hot air balloon ride, a cooking class, concert tickets, a spa day. 1 awesome prize often beats 10 small ones. Anyways, really some cool ideas. And I show this not necessarily so that you can utilize these for yourself, but also to help you understand, use AI as your partner. Man, right? It's your partner in your business. If you've got some ideas and you want to know how to make it better or how to give it some oomph, or how to properly approach a response, use AI. I know last week we had Jesse Thompson and Nate talk through how they're doing the responses after a first, giving out the really cool formatted game plan moving forward. What a nice tool that was, and they were kind enough to share in our meeting last week on that. And they're using AI for it, right? In fact, they're using AI right in their first presentation, where they're having AI transcribe that first presentation and distill all that information into the F&A forum. There's powerful tools that we can be using. They're like using free agents, right? They're building an agent that they're not having to pay. It's done for free, and it's doing all this work for them. I love that. Rick, please.
So just to piggyback on that, I saw that you were using Claude, and I'm doing that as well. And the neat thing about Claude is it's interactive with each one of us and the information we put in there. The information that Heath is getting from Claude is different than what Jesse is getting or that I'm getting based on what we have fed into it. Claude kind of learns based on the information that we put in there. So start with it, and you'll find it will work around what you're trying to get it to do, and it's really amazing. The better it gets, the better it gets. It's really cool.
Well, I love that, Rick. Thank you. And by the way, I'm not paying for Claude. This is the free version. I'm getting plenty of information and good stuff back from Claude for free. I'm not paying, a monthly payment. Now, if I needed more work done, or if I needed to do deeper and bigger things, then I for sure would pay for it. I am doing a monthly subscription to Chat GPT, but it's fun to go back and forth and see the different responses from the different services. Let's go first to Jesse and then to Ruth. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to add this. All those books you always talk about in your Saturday classes, you can get the transcription of those and give them to Claude to read. And then the information Claude gives you has that kind of language in them. So it's just another cool thing.
Absolutely. For sure.
That's awesome. Ruth, go ahead.
Is it Claude like CLAUDE or what is it?
Yes, that's right.
Yep. Yep.
So Claude AI is how you'd look that up?
Yeah. Yeah, you can just type into your browser Claude, CLAUDE, and it'll pull up for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, my friends, we're just jumping around here. We're down to just a few moments left. How in the world has this hour gone by so fast? It always does. And it's probably just fast for me because I'm doing all the talking. You guys are probably bored out of your minds. But I appreciate you being here. I wanted to make sure that I covered the things that I wanted to cover, and more or less we've done that. But one of the things that we've been trying to do is get through a little bit of the training with Troy, and I want to spend just the last 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and continue to surge forward with that. Keep in mind, of course, we're not going to get through all of it, but if you get just a little taste for how he communicates, right, with his clients for an annuity second presentation, some of the lingo will be good for you to understand how to utilize it. So let's give this about 5 minutes here and we'll go for it. We'll call it a day here, but I might stop it because there's some things he brings up that'll be important to share, and to share with you. But let's go to this point here. He's been talking about some of the things that you got to be careful with your money, and he shares that with an FIA, you don't have to worry about market losses anymore.
Especially lately, of course, we're talking about market losses. I had them read this little cartoon to me, and I just tell them, hey, let me know when you're finished reading the cartoon. Usually there's a little chuckle, and they tell me, guys, go ahead and read that. And I want to take a sip. So then I say, yeah, I've been sharing the Teddy Roosevelt quote for over 2 decades. Do what you can with what you have where you are. I love that quote. I have another. I actually teach a different version of that quote, and I say it often. But there's one thing I would never say, and it has to do with gambling. What I'm getting here, guys, is we're diving into someone who says, they're not going to do anything until they have some recovery from their money. So something I would never say, and it has to do with gambling. As you saw on the little screen there, my wife and I like to go to casinos. We consider that ourselves, we are purchasing our gambling experience. We're not going there to beat the house. We're not going there to make a living. We're just there to have some fun. We take in a show and do that. So what I do when I gamble is I call them sessions. I have $200 with me that I'm going to gamble with. The rest of the money's in the room. I'll come down with $200, and several times I'm up to 4,000 or 5,000 with that money. And like anybody else, since I'm winning, I don't cash it in. I keep playing because that's why I'm there, to have some fun. And I get back down to $25 or $5 or even run out. So, but one thing I would never say is, if I had $4,000 or $5,000 and now I'm down to nothing, I got to win that money back. I need to win that money back. I would never say that. Now, I've sat next to people who have said that, or stood next to them at the craps tables, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I got to win this money back. I've lost way too much." What kind of choices and decisions do you think somebody makes when they're saying to themselves, "I have to win that money back"? And the answers I always get is, well, they're making irrational decisions or risky choices and things like that, or whatever. And they tell me, and I agree. Yeah, I mean, they're emotionally attached now to that loss, those money that they've lost, and so now they're going to make riskier bets or shorter one-time roll bets and put more money on bets and so forth. And what's worse, they go to the ATM machine to get more money to try to win the money that they lost. Well, it's the same thing about market losses. One thing you should never say is, I got to earn that money back. I had all this money in my portfolio. I took a 30% loss, and now we got to do whatever it takes to earn that money back so that we can retire on time. That's a very dangerous thing to say. Why? Because you'll probably make the same types of choices that the gambler would make. You'll make maybe riskier investments, or maybe short-term investments, get rich faster money investments and so forth. Or maybe just doing the exact same thing that you've been doing that got you into this boat to start with. That could be a risky investment decision as well. So with that in mind, here's what I tell those I counsel, and that is, look at what you have, not at what you had. Look at what you got, not at what you had. To be honest, if you lost the money, you'll never get it back. It's gone. You'll never get that money back. Now, you may replace it with future earnings, but you'll never get back what you lost. All you have is what you've got left. You have to work with what you've got moving forward. If you're looking constantly backwards at what you had, then you're going to be stumbling forward and making poor choices. So with that in mind, which would be worse for you guys? Missing some, not all, missing some of the market's growth as it recovers, or suffering additional losses, which would be worse? And almost every single time, oh, suffering additional losses. All right, then invest accordingly. Invest accordingly. You should be investing in a way where you can prevent losses but still get some growth in the market. Well, how do I do that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. But if that's true, guys, if it's really, that's what would be worse, then you need to invest in a way to prevent losses. Now, every once in a while, I get someone who says, missing some of the growth of the market. I'm okay with that. I don't mind if that's what they say right now. I'll challenge them on it later if they answer the right questions later. But for now, that's fine. Invest accordingly. Make sure you get all the growth that you can if you're not terribly worried about stopping the losses. And I just move on. We talked about the 4% rule. It's been debunked. You guys have probably seen this. I tell them now it's the 2.4% rule.
By the way, guys, this will be a great screenshot right here. Just take this screenshot right here, because one of the most powerful points that I make when I'm talking with folks about utilizing an FIA is the fact of the matter is if you leave your money where it's at in your 401 or your 403 or your IRA or in the bank, you're only going to be able to rely on 3%, somewhere between 2 and 4% a year, because you got to move that money into much more conservative positions. The real power of the story, right, that you have to sell is I can show you how to have your cake and eat it too. Instead of having to rely on just the 3%, the 2.4, what if we could, without any risk, without any fees, show you how to be able to have access to 8 to 12% of your money annually instead of 3 or 4? That is how we fix the gap, right? That's how we fix the gap. So this story right here is very important. And we'll finish with this just a minute more, maybe more.
Just to, and I'll tell them why coming up, why it's that way. And then I tell them, I've warned them ahead of time that we're peeling back a layer at a time. I'll say, okay, guys, we've been talking about a few things about retirement, but now we're going to peel back our first big layer. And it's basically what Wall Street does not want you to understand. Now, Wall Street is often personified. Wall Street wants this. Wall Street says this. What does that really mean? Well, Wall Street simply is the financial advising community. And more specifically, anybody who makes money on you keeping your money in the market, that's Wall Street. Financial advisors make money on you keeping your money in the market. That's Wall Street. But here's what Wall Street does not want you to understand, and that is the evil power of losses.
We'll get deeper into this, and that's the general gist. And in his presentation, he spends a little time walking people through, gosh, if you lose 10% in a year, what does it take to get back? Now, Wall Street wants you to think, 10% the next year, I'm back to whole. That's not the truth, though, right? What do we have to get the next year to get back whole? You got to get double. You got to get 20%.
20, right, 20.
To catch back up. So what we're showing people is how to avoid that loss, period. You'll never have to worry about any losses and thus never have to worry about catching back up ever again. That's the power of an index strategy. So listen, we got a lot of good things that we have to share with people. We have lots of help that we can provide these folks. All you got to do is figure out the lingo, how to help them understand it, how to help them feel comfortable with you, how to help them find some money. And then we've got all the proofs in the world to help them realize the power of what we have to share with them. So good luck the rest of the week. Knock it out of the park. Keep your head up. Get some grit. Remember, running up that hill, it's football season. You might see kids out there warming up and getting themselves physically fit by running up the hills. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. Have a great day. Rest of the week, my friends. We'll talk to you later. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'll give you a call, Heath.
Thank you. Okay, sounds good.